You can change your entire life by just changing one habit. Subscribe to our podcast and make listening a habit.
Change your mindset, manifest your dream life, and live magically with Rise and Align.
Raising the frequency one episode at a time.
Everything is always working out for us. Hello and welcome back to the Rise and Align podcast, where we talk about all things high vibrational. We're your hosts. My name is Demi.
And I'm Haley. And today we just want to hang out. We want you to hang out with us. We're just going to have some fun, high vibe conversations about life, about the holidays. And we are just excited to have you here with us. So get your cup of tea and hang out with us.
This episode might be a little wild, a little raunchy. Who knows? Because we're just hanging out. And though we always try to have a high vibrational perspective on things, I feel like anything could come up today, so just get ready for the tea.
Totally. Yeah. I think this is fun for us because we are so set in like our like informational mode. We love sharing and like teaching and, you know, helping you become like your highest selves along with us. So this like allows you to get to know us just a little bit more and be like a little more connected with us instead of just like listening to us talk at you.
Yeah, I was watching Call Her Daddy the other day, and they were just talking to each other, whereas I feel like we're always trying to teach you guys as much as we can about manifestation and, you know, every way to better your lives, where we don't usually just like chill and authentically hang out. Like everything we're saying is definitely authentic and genuine, but yeah, we're more talking to you instead of talking to each other. So
yeah,
we're just hanging out today. So I've been on TikTok lately. I came across this TikTok and I just thought it was an interesting subject. This is not so high vibrational, but my jaw definitely dropped. There is this girl. Her name is Sophie Rain. And she claims to have made $4 million in 1 month on OnlyFans.
I believe it.
$4 million in 1 month.
Yeah, I believe it. I actually follow her name, I think is Tara, on TikTok. And she just posts like silly little videos about her life. And she's also kind of been open about her journey on OnlyFans. I don't remember the number, but she makes a sick amount of money every month too on there. So I believe it. It's
wild. So, I mean, like, my thoughts around this, like, one, I think that video alone of her just talking about that amount of money probably makes a lot of people want to get an OnlyFans. If there's a chance to make $4 million, like, it's hard to say no to that.
I know. It's like, even just for a little bit, it's almost like,
right. But here's the thing. Okay, so I had a crazy life. And so I was living in Fort Lauderdale, and I was working for a porn star at a bar. I was bartending at his bar. Okay, not doing the other thing. And a lot of people, though, not just him or like people who were involved with him, but a lot of people down there are in that industry. And they would ask me to get involved with that. And it's a lot of money. There's a lot of money involved in that industry. But he told me, and he was actually a decent guy, ironically. He told me, listen, you can't undo that. If you make the decision to do this, it is always going to be out there. And if you're going to do that, you have to be ready for your family, your friends, whoever to find that and know that about you.
Yeah.
And see you that way forever, because you can't undo this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't think that it like defines you as a person, like if you're involved with that, but like I think a lot of it has to do with like intentions and like the environment and the people around you. Like I think that there's so much more to it, but it's also like the public's perspective is not great on that. You think of Kim Kardashian, she has built an empire and people still go, she was in a porn video. That's all they can see.
Remember that sex tape?
Yeah, like that's all they can like think about. They can't get past that. They can't see her as this. Well, I can't say everyone, but there's some people who can't see her as this like really intelligent, businesswoman because of that.
You know, so part of me thinks like we all have a body, you know, like what's the difference? Like what is the big deal?
Yeah.
And then part of me thinks energetically it feels really wrong to me. It feels really bad and wrong.
Yeah.
It feels selling your soul vibes.
Yeah.
To me.
Especially if you think of like what's on the other side of the screen.
Yes.
Like maybe on your end it doesn't seem that way, but like thinking about who might be consuming that like kind of makes me sick to think about.
Yes.
In a way.
And the fact that this girl made $4 million in a month is like how many men are subscribing to that.
Yeah.
And I mean, we know the detriment that corn can cause. I mean, like, I'm talking depression, addiction, ruining sex lives, like among other things. Like I can go on and on and on. There's a million different podcasts, videos out there, research on that can explain to you the details of like how detrimental that is to somebody's mental and physical health and relationships. Like it is insane actually how bad that is. And to see that society is so addicted to it.
Yeah, but also so against it in public, but behind closed doors, they're all
subscribed.
Consuming it.
Yeah, it's wild. And it's also, it really makes you think about like how valuable is money, you know? And the other part of this that makes me curious is like, how does one get to that point? Like, do you need to know somebody of notoriety? You know, like, did you really sign your soul away? In a way, you know, like in a way, because you hear about like Hollywood and all the weird stuff that's going on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of TikToks lately about the tunnels in Hollywood. Have you heard of that?
Just the one video that I think you sent me a video about it. Yeah.
Okay. I've been seeing more and more and more lately. And I definitely believe a lot of the freaky stuff that goes on in Hollywood. And I've visited a few times myself and seen some pretty weird stuff myself. And it makes me wonder if people who are coming into this ultra wealth have maybe run into somebody who they made a deal with, you know, or like, I don't know. And if not physically real, like logically, like ran into somebody who had like major connections, if it really is just more of a spiritual and energetic giving away of your soul.
Totally.
Honestly.
Yeah. One thing I would say, I feel like OnlyFans is a little bit different in that like anyone can sign up for it and that like it's, I don't know how, I don't know exactly how it works, but my perspective of it is it's kind of like your own will. Like you can put out what you want when you want. And where like traditionally that industry seems like, you know, you'd get involved with those people who would then like make you do certain things, you know, I don't know. Whereas like with OnlyFans, it seems like it's just a little more autonomous and like you get to kind of decide, and like the person posting it isn't necessarily about like who you're involved with. I don't know, maybe to get to that extent where you're making $4 million on there, like maybe you do have to have some sort of connection with someone to get to that point. But I think that industry in general definitely like has an aspect of weird, if that's what we're calling it, or like dark, a darker aspect.
It feels dark. I wish it weren't that way, but I can't see it any other way because that's the feeling it gives me.
Yeah, and I just can't, like I said, I can't get past the idea or the concept of like who's on the other side of the screen and like what kind of dark souls are like consuming that content of a person or whatever.
So if we think about it on a metaphysical level, we are all literally connected. I cannot think of the terminology for that, but there is metaphysical terminology for that word, saying that we are all interconnected. And in a way, so much so that we can affect the way somebody else might feel or the way they might heal. Or for example, like to give you a real life example, you think of somebody and they call you, you think of somebody and they text you. So if we are able to channel other people's energy in that way, what is that doing to you when you are openly sharing your body and energy in that way?
Yeah.
And I just think, like, as cool as it would be to get rich off, like, taking pictures and videos, you can't undo that. Your body is sacred. Your body is a sacred temple. And, like, I know that some men say, like, oh, well, I don't care if my girlfriend has OnlyFans. Like, I could get past that. Like, she's rich. Like, she's making us money. Like, who cares? But it's like, I don't want to share my partner with millions of people.
Yeah. I don't think I would want my partner to be okay with me sharing myself with the world.
No, I think that that is a sacred act. And I mean, like, the Bible talks about it, and I'm not super religious, but I think that all religious scripture is very meaningful. I think that there are certain rules to life, I would say, and laws of the universe that kind of prove that that sort of thing is just dark.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I agree. I do agree. This is just leading me on a side tangent just about the Bible and another dark topic. I was at a funeral recently, and it was a religious funeral. It was at a church, and they were reading verses from the Bible. And I am not a Christian, and I have read verses from the Bible before. And as a kid, I had friends that were like really religious, and I'd go to like Sunday school with them or Wednesday church and whatever. So like I'm fairly familiar with the Bible. I have not read it from start to finish, but I want to now. Like,
same.
I was sitting there, and they were reading these verses, and they were so like spiritually like aligned. Like it was so profound to me, but I think I was like listening in a different way than all these people who are Christians. And I was like getting these messages that were like, wow, like so spiritually dense. And I was just like amazed. I was like, wow, I need to read the Bible.
Yeah, I completely agree. I really want to read the Quran too. Like I hear, like I listen to so many like YouTubers and podcasters and stuff who do talk about religious scripture and just like all things spirituality, and they mention it so often, and I'm like, wow, there's such deep spiritual concepts in all of them. Yeah.
And to be honest, they all probably have similar concepts, just said in a different way.
Yes, I completely agree. I think it's interesting too because how you said, like, I don't know if everyone else was hearing it the way I was hearing it. I really think that it can be perceived so differently based on your own self-perception, like self-concept, and how you perceive the world to be. Your own subconscious beliefs are going to change the way that you perceive even something as simple as a line from the Bible.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be a fun episode, like just reading some
scripture
from the Bible and then interpreting it from like our perspective.
Yes.
That'd be so fun.
Yes.
But yeah, I was just like, this is like so good. And I feel like a lot of Christians probably take it very literally, like Jesus is doing this or blah blah blah, like and it's so literal. But then when you look at it from like a source perspective or a quantum physics perspective, and you're just like, wow. And I just like, and we've talked about it with music too, like when you're listening to certain songs that the same song as someone else, like you can perceive it in a very different way than they do, and even more of like a higher vibrational way, or you receive different messages out of it than someone else might, and it's just so interesting. But I was just like, oh, making me teary.
It really is so interesting. And that makes me think about perception. So it's technically one of our higher faculties. And when I was doing Thinking into Results with Bob Proctor, he talks about your higher faculties and he talks about perception. And to me, I just never thought about it in such depth before that. And it is wild how you can have multiple perspectives about the same thing, or like everyone can have a different perspective about the same thing, and how if you can just change your perspective, you can literally change your entire life. It is absolutely wild. Like, so I encourage you listeners to change your perspective. If you're holding a perspective that feels bad, there has to be a polar opposite, because there's a polar opposite to everything. So what is the opposite of that perspective? You know, like, how can I look at this differently? And if you can look at it differently, if you can teach yourself to choose a positive perspective, you will make your life a more positive place.
Yes.
Like, you will change everything in your life by just changing perspective. It is insane how powerful that one higher faculty is.
Yes. And like law of polarity, is that what it is? It's
Yeah.
literally a universal law. There's always an equal and opposite to everything. So if you believe one thing, the opposite can always be true by law. So if you choose the opposing perspective, like, that can be just as real as the opposite perspective. Now, I can apply that to politics, a whole nother like rabbit hole of like, that can get deep and dark, but like,
Here we are talking about religion and politics.
People. Okay. So whether or not the election like went how you wanted it to, the more you focus on the negative aspects of it, like the more energy you're giving to that and bringing that to life. And, you know, if we're talking about the law of polarity, the opposite can be true. So if you can focus on maybe aspects that are in your life right now that like demonstrate the opposite of that and focus on that, like you can continue to grow that, and you know, your life will continue to be that way. It doesn't have to, I don't know. I'm just like, I cannot, I just can't with it.
No. So I literally made a TikTok. I think it was like the day after the election on this. And I definitely got some people mad. But here's the thing. Like, and you can call me crazy, whatever. I really truly believe that we are the center of our own universe. We are the only one attracting our experiences. It's not Donald Trump. It's not anybody else. It is you. You're attracting your life experiences. So if you allow for there to be an external circumstance that makes you feel a different way, you're allowing it.
Yes.
Like,
and you're welcoming that.
Yes. We are so free that we can choose our own bondage. And that is something that I think that so many people just don't understand. Like, here is the thing. How you feel is what you're attracting into your reality. What you focus on is what you're expanding in your reality. So if you're going to say like, this person got elected and so XYZ is happening and I'm so mad about that, like, okay, and you're attracting more of that. Like,
and then they go on social media, they write a 200 paragraphs, then their whole friends and family jump on there, they're all having this big ball of negative, horrible, like, and then everyone's feeling worse.
No, everyone's feeling bad.
Like, is that's not what you truly want. So why are you doing that? Why are you putting energy into that? Why are you fueling that? Like,
why are you focusing
be here
there?
now?
Yes.
And if it's not directly impacting your here now, like right in this moment,
right now,
you don't need to worry about it. Like,
period.
And also like spreading more hate or just
anger, frustration,
like
sadness, whatever.
That doesn't fix anything. That's not doing anything but putting more negative energy out there. We don't need more of that. Like, it's just like we all need to come together no matter the circumstances and just spread love and kindness. And like, I know people are going to be like, oh, well, kids are being, you know, or whatever. They're going to have like, this is going to happen to these people and this is going to happen to these people. Well, okay, that's not here now. And if that does happen, then you can worry about it then and like, whatever. But like, just, you can't live in fear.
No.
Like, you cannot create like an abundant, peaceful, loving, happy reality by focusing on the fear and the worry and the doubt of like something that's non-existent in the
Literally
potential
non-existent. Like, the more you study, here's the thing. I was listening to this girl I really like. She has a podcast. It's called Your Manifesting Bestie. Her name is Flora. And she I've watched her personally over the last few years go from like having nothing and making TikToks. At one point I had more TikTok followers than her. We were talking about the same thing. So that's how I found her TikTok, because we were out, had the same concepts and everything. And now she's a multimillionaire just by talking about the same stuff. Okay. So I know it works. All right. But she was talking on one of her earlier podcast episodes about having blind faith. And this is the only thing I've ever disagreed with her on. And I didn't disagree with anything else she was saying. It was just the blind faith part, because Bob taught me that blind faith is useless. Bob Proctor taught me that blind faith is useless. But if you study the universal laws, you don't have to have blind faith. You're sure because you understand how it works. Like it's not a, I hope this happens. It's, I know this is going to happen because this is how this works. This is how it works. Yeah. So the more you study the universal laws and the more you understand the way that physical reality functions, and even if you look up that CIA experiment on the mind creating reality and reality basically functioning like a hologram, like there are so many books, there's so many studies, there's so many spiritual leaders talking about this. The more you study, the more you will understand that your mind is creating your reality, period, end of. Yes. Period, end of. So you can either create from the outside in, where you're going to respond to all these external triggers and factors and whatever, and allow that to have power over you. And I love when people are like, oh, the people in charge. I'm in charge here. The fuck are you talking about?
Put yourself on the pedestal and be in charge of your own reality. People don't want to take responsibility.
No, that's what it is.
But when you take responsibility and like allow yourself to take control of your reality, like you literally make magic happen. And like they're the people that are just watching, you know, their friend like do something amazing, and they just sit there and be jealous of them instead of actually doing something about it.
I totally think it comes from a fear of taking responsibility for your own reality. And like, yeah, that can be scary if you don't believe in yourself.
You know what's scary? Like staying the same and living in fear. That's scary. Like, I don't want to live like that.
No. You know what's really scary is failure. And the truth about failure is you can't fail unless you give up, unless you just don't try, unless you just don't take action. That's when you're failing.
Yeah.
Like that is the only way to, that's the true definition of failure. It's not making a mistake. First attempt in learning, if you're going to continue trying, you're not failing. You're succeeding.
Yeah.
You're not giving up. Eventually you're going to actually succeed in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish if you don't give up. You never give up, you're going to succeed, period. That's like what it comes down to. There's no other way. That's just how reality works. But yeah, when people are like, the people in charge, the 1%,
the like, 1%.
I am the center of the universe. It's me.
I'm a godly creator.
Yes, but so are you. Like, so are you. So is everyone. Like, and like people get really offended by that whole concept of like, you're not God. You can't create reality. And it's like, okay, read any religious scripture. Okay, God is within us.
I won't like say I am God, but God is within me.
Yes, yes, within all of us equally. We all have the equal ability to create. We're the children of God. We are here to do God's work. God is the creator. We're creating, period. He gave us higher faculties as humans to allow us to create our reality. There's nobody else. There's nobody else. You can't be mad at the TV. Turn the damn news off. It's nobody else. It's you. It's you. It's
Mute
you.
your friends.
Literally, it's you. And it's interesting because it's also you attracting all of these experiences too. So people will be like so reactive to the physical reality.
Oh yeah.
But if you just have 1 second of faith, and you're like, you know what? Let me take on these beliefs that actually I'm the one attracting and creating my reality. Let me just take it on for just 1 second. You will immediately see results. You will immediately recognize that when you raise your vibration, that when you feel better, you're attracting that in your reality immediately. And immediately.
You let go of this immense resistance that you have felt maybe your whole life, like Abraham Hicks talks about it, like you've been swimming upstream. You know how hard that is? That's what you've been doing your whole life. The second you just like release and like trust and like allow yourself to maybe believe something that is a little bit easier, like you start to flow downstream. That feels way better. Like it's just like y'all need to chill. Why is something that is, you don't even know if it's real, on your screen, like letting you impact your nice, lovely little life that you have right here in front of you? Like, why you have to be so ungrounded to like let something like that impact you?
Why are external circumstances more real than your internal environment?
And your internal environment, your external environment is a mirror of your internal
It's a reflection.
Like,
yeah.
So focus inwards
as
first.
soon as you realize that, you will have so much control over the reality that you experience. And here's the thing, like, you can say like random stuff happens in physical reality and I can't control it, and maybe that's true, like maybe it is, but here's the thing, you can always control how you respond or react to anything. If something horrible happens, you can say, oh my god, my life's horrible, everything's horrible. Or you can say, this sucks, and maybe there's a blessing in it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I can move forward. Like, what can I learn from this experience? Like, how did this contrast expand me?
So I have a weird example of that. So just the other day, we had bought an appliance from Best Buy using like a Best Buy card, and you could get like 12 months interest free and pay it off like within that period. And I was off by a month, and basically if you don't pay it off in the given time, there's like an insane interest charge. It's like 30% and blah 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 whatever plus more.
Yeah.
So I was like off a month, and instead of paying it off this month, I thought I would finish my last payment next month. And then, so I'm just hanging out, and I was looking at my emails, and I got an email, and it was like a $1,200 interest charge.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, okay, this is an interesting turn of events. So I was just like, you know, I think a lot of people immediately would be like freaking out.
Yeah.
Jump on the phone and start screaming at the person, like just spewing negative hatred energy.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, well, I guess I should probably call them. And so I just called them, and I was like, well, I just kind of forgot. And, you know, I thought it was the next. She's like, oh, that's fine. I'll just reverse the charge and you can pay it off right now and it's fine. And I'm like, okay.
literally okay, almost the exact same scenario has happened to me multiple times too. I swear, if you don't freak out, if you stay vibrationally aligned, it'll work out for you. Like, it just does. It just always does.
And I trust that so deeply. Like, everything always works out for me. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna have to pay that. That's silly. Like, and if I got on the phone call and like started screaming at this lady, she'd probably be like, no, like not wanting to help. You don't want to help someone who's like freaking out or has like super negative energy. So it's just like, chill. Like, there's ways out of, you know, just because it says that doesn't mean that has to be your reality. Like,
yes. Here's the thing. When anything like crazy bad happens to me in my reality, I believe so deeply at this point. I have really, really programmed myself to believe in my well-being so deeply that I don't really even believe it. Because something horrible happens and I'm like, no. Like, no, I don't know what's gonna happen from here, but I know that that's gonna solve itself somehow. Like, it'll just literally, I'm never like, oh my god. I'm like, I don't think so. Or I have this belief too. I believe in polarity, obviously, but in like both emotional depth. So like, if you've had major heartbreak, that means you can love deeper, right? I also believe if horrible things happen, good things are coming. So if something insanely bad happens, I'm like, something good's coming.
Yes,
like,
I can't wait.
It'll correct itself. Like, I'm excited. Like, it'll be fine.
Yes.
And literally, it always happens. Like, I think I've told you this story before, but like, I had this crazy thing happen to my car where the oil valve broke. I don't know anything about cars, so I'm probably saying this wrong, but literal like black smoke was coming out of my car, and I drove pretty far. If you guys are from around here, I drove from the North Shore. It was about a 20-minute drive, right? Without like really realizing that happened, because I am not a car girl. Anyway, so I get home to realize like something's wrong. My car is leaking oil. It smells bad. And I call my mechanic and I was like, I got an oil change a few days ago. Like, maybe they screwed it up. Like, I don't know. Can you come look at it? Because I can't drive it. And he's like, yeah. And he comes over and he's like, yeah, something's definitely wrong. And he's like, well, you could call the Valvoline guys and like see, maybe they did do it. Like, if they did, they'll have to fix it for you, you know? And then he takes like a deeper look at it and figures out like exactly the problem. And he goes home and does some research on it. And at this point, like, I'm not freaking out. I'm not worried about how much it's going to cost. I should logically be like, my engine could have broken from this. Like, it could have been just trashed the entire vehicle, right? But I'm not worried. I don't know. I'm not responding. Like, it's just like, whatever. Whenever something goes wrong that costs a lot of money, I literally say, charge it to the game. I don't know why that's this weird ass saying that I say to myself, but I'm like, charge it to the game.
Monopoly money.
That's what it is to me. Life is a game, and somehow the money's gonna come. It'll pay itself off. Like, charges like that are insane. Like, I had a bunch of pipes burst, or like, it was funny because I was feeling out of control and everything in my house was breaking. I don't even think it actually was broken. I think my head created that. Okay. But the stove broke, the dishwasher broke, the boiler broke, like everything broke at once. And I was like, what the hell is going on? But I was like, charge it to the game. And like, somehow it got paid. I don't know. It just always works out. But car situation. Okay, so my mechanic looks into it, finds out that Lexus has a recall on the part. And he's like, I think if you call Lexus and tell them what's broken, they're going to have to fix it for you because they have a recall on the part. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I like figure out a number to call, and I'm like on hold for a while. And this lady's like, I don't know, like, what you're talking about. Like, I don't really think so. Like, I don't think there's anything we can do. And I was like, that's weird, because like, I swear that this is the case. Like, I just read this little article. My mechanic told me, like, I think you guys have to fix it. And she was like, well, let me ask my manager, because like, I don't really know. I'm not finding anything on it. Like, whatever. We'll give you a call back. I was like, okay. Still not worried. Still not reacting. They end up calling me back and they're like, well, yeah, there is a recall on this part. And like, where is your nearest Lexus? Like, can you bring the car to it? And I'm like, well, no, I can't drive it right now. Like, it's broken, obviously. And the nearest Lexus is like 2.5 hours away at least. And they're like, okay, well, if you call a tow truck and get it towed to a Lexus, we can look at it and see what we can do. Now, I feel like a lot of like, quote unquote, logical people who really believe in reality would have been like, oh my God, I'm not doing that. It's going to cost so much money. My engine's shot. Like, everything's ruined. Like, this is going to be so expensive. And like, tow was like $600 something. But I put it on my mileage card and I thought nothing of it. I'm like, they're going to refund me. It's going to be fine. I go to Lexus, they give me a brand new Lexus to drive, and they're like, you can just keep it for a week. So like, I stayed in the cities, which is where I got it fixed, and had this like mini vacation. I was driving a brand new car and I was like, hell yes, manifesting a new car. Love this. And everything was all good. And then at the end of that, they fixed it for free and they refunded me for the tow. So I had a free vacation and I got to borrow a brand new car for a week. I was like, this is great, actually. Right. I didn't, there was no point at which I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be broke. I'm not going to have a car. Like, there was not a single point at which I was freaking out, which is crazy because like, I couldn't even drive my car. Like, I should have freaked out. I should have like been like, oh my God, I can't drive to work. I can't get to my kid. Like, I can't do anything. But I was like, yeah, it'll figure it out. I don't know.
You cannot close your mind off from unexpected blessings.
No.
Like, you don't have to know the how and the why. Like, the universe takes care of that. Like, just be open to it. It literally doesn't hurt you to have a positive mindset. And having a negative mindset will hurt you. It will lead to, or could lead to, health problems. It could lead to so many negative things, but having a positive outlook allows you to be open to unexpected miracles and blessings to happen.
Yes.
Which is so important.
Yes. Well, and so Bob said too, use your imagination in the right way. So many people are using their imagination in the wrong way.
The wrong direction.
Thinking about like, oh my God, all these things are going wrong. How could this not work out? How could I fail? Instead of thinking about, what if this did work out? How could I solve this?
Yeah.
Like, there are just as many ways to solve a problem as there are like not, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could, like, if I were somebody else who were going to have an emotional response to that, I would have probably towed my car to some expensive garage and just paid for it to get fixed, or maybe tried to drive. Maybe if I had a real lack mindset, I might have tried to drive my car to a car garage, which would have ruined my engine, and then I would have had to pay thousands of dollars to get it fixed, and not known any of this.
Yeah.
It could have been a huge thing, but I was like, nah,
Yeah.
it'll solve itself. Like anytime something bad happens, I'm like, I don't know.
Can't be.
I just don't believe it. I just don't believe
Something
it.
better is coming.
Yes. And if you have that mindset, it at least allows the solution.
Yes. And I get it if this feels like difficult, because I grew up dirt poor in a very reactive family. When anything happened, because we were dirt poor, everything felt like the world was ending almost every single day.
Yes.
And I don't believe kids should necessarily be around or involved in potential like financial things and, you know, turmoil or things that are happening. But I was told, the lights are going to be getting turned off, and like but it wasn't said that calmly. And like, oh, the world's ending. I can't pay for this, so we can't have food. And like everything was just so chaotic and turmoil and reactive. Like I grew up in that environment. I get it. Like I get that might be your natural way of dealing with things, because maybe that's what you were taught or what you learned, or, you know, habitual behavior, like subconscious beliefs, all that jazz. Like I get it. But from someone who has come from that, like out here manifesting like miracles and blessings just by like remaining calm and having a positive mindset, like it is possible for anyone. Like and if you are in a really like negative situation in life, like that feels super stressful, I really would recommend you to listen to this advice, because even though it's so hard and so stressful, like we've both been in that position where it's like we don't know how like ends are going to meet, like we just don't know how it's going to work out, but it did, and like we're here and things are really great, and like you can do it. Like just take a deep breath and like release that stress and tension. It's like I said, it's not going to hurt you to let that go. Like what is worrying going to do for the problem? Literally nothing.
Just like everyone always says, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And that there's never been a more true statement. There's nothing to fear but fear itself, because the fear is what causes the pain. Yeah. Like it's never helped anybody to worry about something. Yeah. Like I get preparing, like I get, you know, thinking ahead and planning, but fear, doubt, and worry has never fixed anything.
Except the fact that you're planting more seeds of fear, doubt, and worry, which then you may actually attract that.
Yes. Like, you're focused on the problem. And here's the thing, like we both came from lack mindsets. Like I learned a lot of really unhealthy subconscious beliefs and operated from that for such a long time, and I still catch myself having fear, doubts, and worries about those things sometimes, and now at least I'm conscious of it, so I can be like, that feels horrible, this isn't true, like nope, that's not the story I'm telling myself, that is not the truth. I suggest that you do that, like study it as much as you can, you know, but coming from that, I can also say, like, you can change your beliefs. Like, you can change your life by just taking on the right thought process.
So important. You guys can create your own reality. I mean, that's like half of what we talk about. Yeah. So obviously, like, if you are unfamiliar with that, we highly recommend just like listening to our podcast regularly. That is going to help you change your mindset, and it'll help you manifest what you're looking for. And also, as we talk about in many episodes, like I recommend maybe listening to Abraham Hicks, because she's so good at like, I think she's so good for like someone beginning their journey. Yeah, I agree. Because it's so like palatable and fun. And you can like get some of these things down in a way that is just fun and it's nice. You can listen to it when you're getting ready. But also I invite you I would invite you to start a yoga practice. Like you don't have to go to a studio. You don't have to do anything fancy. Like wear your cozy pajamas and do a 15-minute like little yin yoga class in your home. Like that literally will also change your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen to episode number 2. I meet people who are resistant to it. And I just cannot say enough how it really is for everyone, how it really will change your life.
Yeah.
Same with meditation. It's not for me. It's hard for me. No.
You're exactly who it's for.
You are blocking yourself. You are.
Yeah.
You get to choose, and I'm telling you, it will help.
Yes.
It will.
Like, periods of my life where I have meditated regularly, like I've truly manifested like amazing things from that. And that's definitely one thing that I want to work on more is like
Me too.
making that a part of my daily routine. Just because that seems to be like the one thing that I like try to resist. But
yeah, I feel that way too. There have definitely been periods where I've made it an everyday habit and then suddenly I just kind of fall off, you know, and then I'll get back into it for a while. And like lately I haven't been doing it as much. And I do give myself this dumb excuse of like, I don't have enough time, but I know it's not true. It's not even real. Time isn't even real. So, you know, you can make time. I can make time. I'm going to start making more time.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Oh, what I was going to say, it came back to me now. If you believe in the fear, if you put your energy towards the fear, doubt, worry, it does always manifest. Like people do say like you attract what you fear, and that's not just a saying. Like it's true, but you don't only attract what you fear, you attract whatever you believe in. So if you believe in your success, if you believe in your joy, if you believe in your abundance, if you're really focused on that and you're feeling that emotion all the time, you're going to get that. But if you're really focused on the fear, doubt, worry, and you're feeling that all the time, you're going to get that.
Yeah.
And I can give you a very real example, which unfortunately I think a lot of people experience, but I want to give this not to lower your vibration, but to just show you, because we already showed you what believing in faith does. This is very real. I had a subconscious fear of abandonment and a subconscious feeling of being unworthy and codependence. I learned all of that as a child, right? Now, as an adult who had not yet done the spiritual self-development work, I wasn't consciously aware of what I was doing. But what I was doing was getting myself into toxic relationships where I felt like I needed to chase the person and hold on to the person. And I just so desperately, pathetically desperately yearned for external validation from these people. Like I literally felt like I was gonna die if they didn't love me. I literally felt that way. And so I would constantly act out of that, and I would worry that I was gonna get cheated on or left because I wasn't good enough. And that was on such a subconscious level. Like I was not aware of what I was doing, but on a conscious level, I was double texting and calling, and I was doing extra things and like buying gifts and trying to be super nice, and even sexual acts, like just trying to be good enough. When you're acting from those feelings, you will manifest what you're fearing, even if it's on a subconscious level. And that is why it's so important that we become consciously aware of what our beliefs are. It is so important. And if you're feeling those negative emotions, I want you to ask yourself, like, why am I feeling this way? Like, where is that coming from? And I still have to do that sometimes. I have to be like, okay, I'm feeling really stressed out right now. Like, why? And at first it'll be a very like surface level kind of answer, like, I don't know. I can't even think. I'm not feeling stressed out right now. So I don't know. But I'm trying to think of something like, just to make up an example, like I feel stressed out because I have too much to do. Okay, well, what's the worst thing that will happen if I don't get it done? Like, why does that feel that way, right? Okay, well, I feel like if I don't get everything done, then I'm not good enough. Okay, well, you can never get it done. You can never get it done.
Yeah, just for like a very basic example, like laundry.
Yeah.
You can never get your laundry done ever because you're
wearing
always wearing
clothes.
something. So it's never, ever, 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 ever done.
Unless you live in a nudist community. But Abraham Hicks always says, like, you can't get it wrong and you'll never get it done. You'll never get it done. But we have this whole like concept in our minds that if we accomplish enough, if we do enough, if we get a certain amount of money or something, that then we'll be done. Like, you'll get it done. But it literally never ends. Like, you'll never get it done.
Yeah.
But so we have these beliefs from childhood because, like, we were taught if you get good grades, then you're good enough. If you clean your room, then you're good enough. Like, you're a good kid. You're a good girl if you did this, you know, and we get rewarded for that, or we get put down for not doing that. So then as adults, we have these beliefs like, oh, I need to keep my house clean. And like, yeah, you do, but
for
also
who?
You're a human. So like for yourself, you know, and only for yourself. Like, you don't need to be perfect. You cannot get everything done all the time.
But it's like, what's the worst that's going to happen if you don't clean your counter tonight? Like, nothing's going to happen. Like, you're good. You're safe. You're good enough. Like, yeah.
And I mean, I personally really like, I feel better when my house is clean. So maybe that's not the best example. But even that said, my house is never spotless. Like, I live here. So
I think that's like a good thing to like practice with, though. Like, if you can't relax until like your house is clean or something, like maybe like experiment with like not cleaning like the, you know, or something like that. I feel like I've kind of had that before where like I needed like surfaces to be cleared off, or like I just like
can't relax.
But I think I was using that as an excuse to like not relax, or to like hyper focus on things, or as a distraction for other things. Like I think I just used that as like a scapegoat for other things.
Isn't it interesting how our brains will literally like trick us into doing that? Because if you are raised in an environment that is like high anxiety and there's always stuff to do, you learn that as the norm, and so then your brain will like look for things to distract you,
or you're uncomfortable being calm and peaceful because you didn't have that. So you're like, you got to fill the void of, or like you don't want to like.
I feel like in that environment too, like, it's common for parents to punish children for not doing XYZ. So if you grow up like that, then you're like, I can't sit down and relax. Like, I don't deserve it.
Yeah. And we live in a society where it's all about productivity. So if you're not doing something productive, like, then it comes back to those limiting beliefs. Like, I'm not good enough, or I'm lazy, I'm this, blah, 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 blah. Like, I feel like we're so trained to like having to be productive. And I was just saying this the other day of our school system. Kids go to school for like approximately 8 hours a day.
It's too much.
That is a full-time job. And then outside of school, they can do extracurricular. So they can do sports or clubs or whatever. And then on top of that, they're expected to do homework. So I think of myself like in high school. I did do sports for a while. I was a good student, and I was taking advanced classes. I was taking like AP classes and whatever. So I would be at school for 8 hours a day, maybe a sports practice for an hour or two, and then you'd have to come home and do 2, 3, 4 hours of homework. Like, that's 15, 16 hours a day. That's literally impossible for you to get the right amount of sleep that you need for being a growing human, but also for your brain to function properly, for your cycle to regulate properly. Like, we're so focused as a society on being productive and doing, like, I didn't have time to relax in high school, or maybe even in middle school. Like, so it's not normal to me to like be able to relax. Like, oh my gosh, like, it's so embedded in everything we do in this society, and it's so wrong.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Honestly, just listening to you say that made me stressed out a little bit, because I was like, I honestly feel guilty and like a bad parent for having my child go to school. But here in America, it's illegal not to.
Yeah.
And like, I really, really, really desperately want to homeschool my child. But one, there's a ton of judgment against that, which I think is BS, and I don't really care. But two, like I also have to work and stuff, and I just don't know that I have the time and ability to teach him adequately while having him homeschooled.
Yeah.
And also, like, I co-parent, and I don't believe that the co-parent would be able to do that or would be willing to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't really have much of a choice, and it makes me literally feel like a bad parent because it's
your
insane.
fault. That's not. It's not.
Yeah.
I think
still
as a
not
society,
right, though.
it's not
It
right.
sucks. It's not right. Yeah.
And it's also frowned upon, like, as a society, if your kid isn't in sports, or like you're not cool if you're not in sports, or you're not cool if you're not doing extracurricular activities. You're not, say, if they want to go to college, like if you don't have 10 extracurriculars and you're doing sports and all this other nonsense,
so
like they don't want you to go to college. Like, it's just like, it's so messed up. Like, why are we expecting kids to work 15, 16 hours a day? We don't do, most adult humans don't have to do that. I can barely get through an 8-hour a day. Like, it's insane.
It's insane. It's way too much. It's so sad. You know what's even more sad that I've noticed now that my child has been in school for a few years? Every once in a while, like, for COVID especially, but every once in a while there's like days off school and stuff. And there are so many parents who make a huge deal out of that and don't want their children home with them because they have to work and whatever. But it's like, I'm so glad and relieved when he finally gets some time off, because it is insane how much he's gone.
Yeah.
I feel like I barely see my kid because of school.
Yeah. Like, that's crazy. You're missing out on like core parts of his life, and not for any other reason than that's just what society is like.
I hate it.
Making us
it's so
do.
wrong. It's so wrong.
I think education is so important, but here's the thing. I don't even think they're teaching the right things in school that we should even be learning in the first place, because they're not things that are truly going to set you up for success. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, I don't think I learned most anything in school that like truly is helping me on like a life day-to-day level. And like all the stuff that I feel like has been truly valuable to me is like what I taught myself or learned from others after school.
Yes, me too.
Like, I get like reading and writing and like I guess having some sense of history is good, but like
math,
it's just like, yes, but like, why do we truly need to go through to like calculus when like majority of the people aren't going to have careers that require that? And there's computers that do that for us now anyways. It's just like, why do I need to know like all that nonsense? Like, I really don't. I need to be learning the law of attraction and how to regulate my cycle and like, no.
I really think that, well, going back to religious scripture, I think that the purpose of religious scripture is to give humans a guide to physical reality, and we just, most of us perceive it wrong. Most of us like miss the point.
And that's the thing. Religion / the Bible is all based on a perception of someone else. Like, the Bible that's in English was translated from another language. That's someone else's perception of it. Like, there's probably words that did not correlate, and so new words were put in place of someone else's words that were different.
Script versus new script, which I heard is like totally different meaning behind it, you know. But that said, I do wish that we taught children the laws of the universe. Like, that is the most important number one thing we should learn: emotional regulation and the laws of the universe.
In quantum physics, like, I would have actually loved that class.
Imagine if we were taught that as children. Like, what if our subconscious beliefs that we were taught as children were abundance and infinite opportunity and self-love? Like, what if we got taught that as children? Imagine how insanely different the world would be.
And as opposed to like lack, like you're only good enough if you get an A on this, or like you need to do it this way, or like the classes are so structured to be one way. Like there's no freedom or fluidity or creativity or flowing. It's just so structured and the same, and like lack and like it's just not. It's so rough.
Furthermore, like, from there, okay, so we teach children laws of the universe and emotional regulation and health. We should teach kids about health, you know? So we teach kids these major things that can completely determine your life path, and then we allow them to learn what they want to learn. What if we did that?
It'd be amazing to see.
Imagine what the world would become. Like,
Yeah.
it would fix most of our problems, I think, honestly. And it's really sad because, like, we're learning our subconscious beliefs from our family and our teachers. And most people don't have good ones. But if the school took it upon themselves to teach children the right beliefs that would set them up for success and joy in life,
Yeah.
it could change everything.
Yeah.
It would break generational curses, trauma immediately.
Yeah.
And forever.
Yeah, because if you were in an environment where like you grew up in a very like lack-based mindset or like were taught limiting beliefs, like that could be changed when you were really young, or like that maybe the stuff that you're learning in school would impress or like override some of those other things that you learned from a younger. I think that it would be easier the younger that you are.
Yep.
So,
and I mean, once we had one generation of people do that, the next would immediately already automatically have better beliefs.
Yeah, totally.
That's all we need, is to be able to teach one generation the right beliefs.
Yeah.
Wild.
It
Mind
is
blowing.
wild.
Like, why hasn't someone done that yet? Like,
I know.
The school system is so old. It's so outdated. I think most of us know that.
Yeah.
You know, like most of us are aware of that.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is wild.
I don't even know where to go from there. I think we need to go invent a new school.
I know.
How do we do that?
Well, I want a witch school, but it wouldn't be necessarily, I don't know that it would be allowed to have kids in it, but I'll definitely make a witch school for us who need this after all of our trauma and growing up in
like
the system.
Magic and universal laws and healing and natural homeopathic herbs and like
yes. Why didn't we have an herbal class?
Yeah.
What the?
Seriously.
That's not fair.
Seriously.
I would have loved it. Like, that would have been the best.
One, then you could survive in the wild. Like, number one. Number two.
And it's also just like a survival. Yeah, it's a survival
thing. You can heal
and
how many things by yourself. It is a survival thing. Why didn't we learn that? Why didn't we have a survival class? Isn't survival like the number one human need?
Literally.
Like, isn't that the most important thing?
Yeah. Like, why am I learning about what happened in 200 BC China instead of like what herbs are growing outside my door and what I can eat and what I can't eat and what
it's no wonder history repeats itself.
To be honest though, I feel like in the past people were definitely more connected, and that I mean, like, there wasn't really like school. You just learned from your elders or your family or whatever, and they taught you how to survive. I mean, like, it was so different. Obviously, we're blessed in many ways to live in this time period, but also like it was simpler times.
Yeah.
And like there was less control of like less, I guess, like governmental control. I mean, that's how I picture it. I'm thinking like really far back.
Yeah. Like 1600s kind of thing. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Because I think school is probably, and I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I'm guessing like early 1800s, late 1700s would be like when school started. I don't know.
I feel like it was a less like regulated though. Like it wasn't like
not everyone went to school,
and like not every school had to teach the same like
I wonder what they did initially teach. Probably reading and writing for sure, but I don't know besides that. Really. Yeah, it'd be interesting to learn about. But I do agree, like learning how to, you know, like garden and make your clothes and like you know.
I had like one sewing class and it was like using garbage fabric with garbage stuffing, and they just taught you how to
make a pillow,
sew it up, and I'm like, cool, but like teach me how to make a corset, thank you.
Right. Honestly, high school girls would pay a lot more attention if they were teaching how to make corsets, can I just say.
Like a wench skirt, there you go.
God, seriously. Okay, on that note, we need to have another episode like this was so much fun, and we just have so much to talk about, and I hope that we inspired you guys to really take on the beliefs that are going to support the life that you desire to be living, because that's all it takes is the right beliefs. That is all it takes is faith and teaching yourself the right ideas.
Yes, agreed. So we end every episode usually with some sort of message. Today we are going to just pick a page and read some wisdom from that page.
Florence Scovel Shinn was so far ahead of her time. It is unbelievable, honestly.
I'm not really familiar with her.
Oh my gosh, she's like the female Neville Goddard, but I think she was even before him. She wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. That's her most famous one. And then, so this one is 4 books from her. The other ones are called Your Word is Your Wand.
Oh my God, I love that.
The Secret Door to Success and The Power of the Spoken Word. You know, just by the names that she knew. Okay. Okay. So the page we opened says, crossing your Red Sea, speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. 14:15. I'm guessing that comes from some religious scripture. I don't know if it's the Bible or not. Anyway, one of the most dramatic stories in the Bible is the episode of the children of Israel crossing the Red Sea. Okay, yep, from the Bible. Moses was leading them out of the land of Egypt, where they were kept in bondage and slavery. They were being pursued by the Egyptians. The children of Israel, like most people, did not enjoy trusting God. They did a lot of murmuring. They said to Moses, is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again, no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. We might say that Moses pounded faith into the children of Israel. They preferred being slaves to their old doubts and fears. For Egypt stands for darkness. That was in quotation. So it's, or parentheses. So it says, they preferred being slaves to their old doubts and fears than to take the giant swing into faith and pass through the wilderness to their promised land.
Boom.
Need I say more? Mic drop, mic drop, mic drop.
Amen. That's so good. It's
It's just
like
so good. It's yeah.
reaffirming everything we just said.
Yeah, literally.
Just saying.
Just all you have to do is let go of all those negative thoughts that you've been taught, been taught. They're not even yours.
And your promised land already exists. Like, it's there waiting for you. Like, you just have to like release and allow like that to unfold, like the path to unfold to it.
And if you're ever like concerned about like, what should I do? The most important thing you can do is to just be present and to find what feels good. The most important thing always at any given moment is how you feel here now. That's it. There's nothing more important. From there, if you can maintain alignment, maintain your good feeling, inspired action will come, and whatever you desire will become.
You'll know the way.
Period.
Love it.
All right. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. This it was such a good episode. Every time I'm like, this is my new favorite episode, but it was. I love it. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us, and we'll see you next time.
Happy holidays. We love you.
Bye.